Just finally, I want to ask you about Rachel Reeves, the Chancellor. The news, of course, they were commenting on GDP figures. First of all, we had the revelation that she hadn't actually worked as an economist at Halifax Bank of Scotland. She claimed to be an economist at the Bank of England and at her HBOS. It turns out she wasn't an economist. She worked in the complaints department. She was doing an admin job for HBOS. And then it turns out that she'd exaggerated quite a lot of the time that she'd spent at the Bank of England and indeed at HBOS. And there's been some question marks about her departure from both jobs. It has now been confirmed by the BBC. They say that she did actually leave the Bank of England 9 months earlier than she states in her LinkedIn profile. So she spent 5.5 years working at the bank, including nearly a year studying, so she wasn't at the bank then, despite publicly claiming repeatedly to having spent a decade there. Now, that's not just someone failing to correct someone in an interview saying, oh, you were a decade at Bank of England. You fill out your own LinkedIn profile, you fill out your own CV. This stuff has been touted, has it not, again and again by the now Prime Minister when they were in opposition about, we've got this woman, she's going to be the first woman Chancellor. For some reason they thought that was a thing. But key thing is she's been a top economist at the Bank of England and at Halifax Bank of Scotland. It's looking quite patchy now, isn't it? What's
extraordinary is that the mainstream media didn't carry out this scrutiny before she was elected with the Prime Minister to run the country last July. I find that very odd indeed, don't you? But look, the reality is she's clearly been economical at best with the reality of her own CV. And I think what we're learning is that if she can't get her own CV right, can she really run the accounts department of the country, i.e. the Treasury?
In most jobs, if you've lied on your CV, I mean, if you claim to have a qualification or claim to have experience somewhere that was not true, you'd be automatically sacked, wouldn't you?
Oh, but no, not under this Labour government. Of course, it's one rule for everybody else and a different rule for them. Look, the reality is she can't run her own CV and she can't run the economy of a country, and we're all getting poorer as a result.
Chancellor Rachel Reeves has come under intense scrutiny after it was revealed that she exaggerated her tenure at the Bank of England, claiming to have worked there for 10 years when in reality, she only spent 5.5 years at the institution. This blatant discrepancy in her professional record raises serious questions about her credibility, integrity, and ability to handle the immense responsibility of managing the nation's finances. If she cannot even accurately state the length of her own employment history, how can the British public trust her to oversee the economic policies and financial stability of the United Kingdom? Reform UK Deputy Leader Richard Tice rightfully called out this deception, posing a damning question. If she can't get her own CV right, can she really run the accounts department of the country? This statement perfectly encapsulates the absurdity of Reeves' situation. A Chancellor of the Exchequer is expected to be meticulous, detail-oriented, and honest. Someone who can handle complex financial matters with absolute precision. Yet here we have a person who has grossly misrepresented her own experience, seemingly inflating her credentials to appear more qualified than she actually is. This raises another critical concern. Was this an honest mistake, or a deliberate lie? If it was an error, it demonstrates incompetence, an alarming trait for someone in charge of the country's economy. If it was intentional, it reveals dishonesty and a willingness to deceive the public, something that should be utterly unacceptable in a high-ranking government official. Either way, it completely undermines her trustworthiness. Beyond the embarrassment of being caught exaggerating her own CV, this incident speaks to a broader issue of politicians misleading the public while expecting ordinary citizens to adhere to strict financial scrutiny. If an average worker lied on their CV, they would likely face termination or even legal consequences. Yet, here we have the Chancellor of the Exchequer, the person responsible for managing the UK's economic affairs, who cannot even be truthful about her own past. It is an insult to every hard-working taxpayer who expects honesty and competence from their leaders. This scandal calls into question Rachel Reeves' entire credibility as Chancellor. If she is willing to embellish her own experience, what else is she willing to embellish her own experience? What else is she willing to manipulate or distort? How can the public trust her to deliver accurate economic forecasts, fair taxation policies, or responsible public spending when she has already been caught misleading people about something as fundamental as her career history. Rachel Reeves has exposed herself as either incompetent or untrustworthy, and neither is acceptable for a position that holds the economic fate of millions in its hands. The British public deserves better than a chancellor who can't even tell the truth about her own past.
Let's be honest, it's not a miscalculation, it's not a mistake.
No, it's a
Rachel
lie.
Reeves, you're the Chancellor of the Exchequer. You got that job based on your past and your CV and your record in work. You have lied repeatedly about every aspect of those qualifications and your record in employment. In any other job, in any other walk of life, whether you're the cleaner at the Treasury or whether you're the permanent secretary at the Treasury, you would be sacked on the spot for gross misconduct for having lied on your CV. Rachel Reeves, you need to go. You have lied on your CV. You are not the person you say you are. You are not got the record in employment that you said you had, which made you apparently credible as a potential Chancellor. And I'm afraid if you won't fall on your sword, then I think Keir Starmer should sack you. End of. And if you don't agree with anything I've said, feel free to sue me. But you know everything I've said is right.
Julia Hartley. Brewer has delivered a damning message to Chancellor Rachel Reeves after it was exposed that she exaggerated her CV, falsely claiming to have worked at the Bank of England for 10 years, when, in reality, she only spent 5.5 years there. This revelation has sparked outrage and serious concerns about her honesty and suitability for one of the most crucial positions in government. Hartley? Brewer did not hold back, stating that in any other profession, Reeves would have been sacked on the spot for gross misconduct. She went further, directly calling Reeves a liar and insisting that she is not the person she claims to be. This is not just an embarrassing misstep. It is a serious act of deception that calls into question her credibility and integrity. Any regular employee who was caught lying on their CV would be immediately dismissed. Job seekers across the country are expected to be truthful about their qualifications and experience, and dishonesty in this regard is grounds for termination in nearly every profession. Yet here we have Rachel Reeves, the Chancellor of the Exchequer, someone entrusted with the country's finances, who has been caught misleading the public about her own professional history. If she is willing to exaggerate something as fundamental as her own work experience, how can anyone trust her to manage the economy with transparency and accountability? The role of Chancellor demands meticulous attention to detail, sound financial judgment, and above all, honesty. Yet Reeves has demonstrated none of these qualities. Her actions suggest either an alarming level of incompetence, being unable to accurately recall the duration of her own employment, or a deliberate attempt to embellish her credentials in order to gain political credibility. Either way, it is unacceptable. If she cannot even be trusted to present her own past truthfully, how can she be trusted to present accurate economic forecasts, taxation policies, or financial reports to the public? This situation is a clear example of the double standards in politics. Ordinary workers face strict consequences for dishonesty, but politicians like Reeves believe they can get away with misleading the public. Her attempt to inflate her experience is a betrayal of the trust placed in her by the British people. It also raises an important question. If she has lied about this, what else has she exaggerated or misrepresented? Julia Hartley. Brewer's response is a reflection of the widespread frustration with politicians who believe they are above the rules that apply to everyone else. When someone in a position of power is caught lying, they should face the same consequences as any ordinary citizen: immediate dismissal and public accountability. Reeves' deception should not be ignored or brushed aside as a minor mistake. This is about integrity, trust, and whether she is fit to hold one of the most powerful offices in the country. Rachel Reeves has been exposed as either dishonest or incompetent, and neither trait is acceptable for someone tasked with managing the nation's finances. The British public deserves leaders who tell the truth, not politicians who manipulate facts for their own gain. This scandal should serve as a reminder that trust in government is earned through honesty and competence, not deception and political spine. If Reeves has any respect for the office she holds, she should take responsibility for her actions and step down. If she refuses, then the public must hold her accountable and ensure that she does not get away with deceiving the nation. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to leave a comment below, like and subscribe for more updates, and join our Telegram community to stay engaged with the latest discussions.